I was 17 years old when I told my mother I hated her. Those were the last words I ever said to her face. And 3 hours later, she took her final breath in a hospital bed while I was at a party celebrating my freedom from her rules. And what I discovered in the weeks after her death absolutely destroyed me. Because everything I thought I knew about my parents was a lie, and the truth was so heartbreaking that it changed me forever. My name is Michael, and I grew up thinking I had the worst parents in the world. My mother was strict, constantly on my case about homework, curfews, who I hung out with. She never let me go to parties, never let me have the latest phone, never gave me the freedom that all my friends had. And my father, he worked all the time, morning till night, weekends, holidays. He was never home for my basketball games, never took me fishing or camping like other dads did. And when he was home, he was tired and quiet, barely saying 2 words to me before falling asleep on the couch. I resented them. I truly did. I thought they didn't care about me, that they were selfish and controlling, that they didn't understand what it was like to be young. And I spent most of my teenage years fighting with them, slamming doors, rolling my eyes, counting down the days until I could leave for college and finally be free from their suffocating presence. The fight that ended everything started over something so stupid. I wanted to go to a concert 3 hours away with my friends. It was my favorite band. Everyone was going, but my mother said no. She said it was too dangerous, that I didn't have enough experience driving long distances at night, and I exploded. I screamed at her that she was ruining my life, that she never let me do anything, that I couldn't wait to leave and never come back. And then I said it. The words that haunt me every single day. I said, "I hate you and I wish you weren't my mother," and I stormed out of the house, got in my friend's car, and went to a party instead. At the party, I was laughing, dancing, feeling liberated, finally away from my controlling mother, and that's when my phone started buzzing with calls from my father. I ignored the first 3 calls because I was still angry, but when he called the 4th time, something made me answer, and the sound of his voice, broken and desperate, made my blood run cold. He said I needed to come to the hospital immediately, that my mother had collapsed, that it was serious, and I felt my entire world tilt on its axis. I don't remember the drive to the hospital. I don't remember running through the emergency room doors. I only remember seeing my father in the waiting room, his face pale and tear-streaked, and he told me that my mother had a brain aneurysm, that she had been having headaches for months but didn't tell anyone because she didn't want to worry us, that she collapsed in the kitchen while making my favorite meal for dinner, and that the doctors didn't think she would make it through the night. I begged to see her, but by the time they let me into the room, she was unconscious, hooked up to machines, breathing through a tube, and I stood there, frozen, staring at this woman who I had screamed at just hours before, this woman who I told I hated, and I realized with crushing clarity that I might never get to take those words back. She died at 2:47 in the morning, never regaining consciousness, never hearing me say I was sorry, never knowing that I didn't mean any of it, and I fell apart in that hospital room, sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe, while my father held me and cried with me. 2 broken people who had just lost the center of their universe. The funeral was unbearable. Relatives I barely knew telling me how much my mother loved me, how she talked about me constantly, how proud she was of me. And each word felt like a knife twisting in my chest, because how could she be proud of me when all I ever did was make her life harder, when the last thing I ever said to her was that I hated her? After the funeral, I started going through my mother's things, trying to find some connection to her, some way to feel close to her again, and that's when I found the journal. It was hidden in her nightstand, a simple leather-bound notebook filled with her handwriting, and as I read it, page after page, my entire world shattered and rebuilt itself in a completely different shape. The journal entries went back 5 years, and they told a story. I never knew my mother had been diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease when I was 12. The doctors told her she had maybe 10 years to live, maybe less, and every strict rule, every curfew, every limitation she placed on me was because she was trying to protect me, trying to keep me safe for as long as she could, knowing she wouldn't be there to protect me forever. She wrote about lying awake at night, worrying about me, about wanting to give me everything, but being terrified that if she was too lenient, I would make mistakes she wouldn't be alive to help me fix. She wrote about the physical pain she was in every single day, but how she never complained because she didn't want me to see her as weak or sick. She wanted me to remember her as strong, as present, as a mother who cared, even if I thought she cared too much. But the entry that absolutely destroyed me was from the day of our last fight. She wrote that she knew I didn't really hate her, that teenagers say things they don't mean, that she remembered being 17 and feeling trapped. 2, she wrote that she loved me more than life itself, that every decision she made was out of love even when I couldn't see it. And she ended the entry with, "I hope someday he understands that being a parent means loving someone enough to let them hate you if it keeps them safe." I sobbed for hours after reading that, clutching the journal to my chest, wishing I could go back in time and hug her, tell her I understood, tell her thank you for every rule, every lecture, every moment she chose my safety over my happiness. Then I found something else. A box of letters my father had written to my mother over the years, and reading them revealed another truth I had been blind to. My father wasn't absent because he didn't care. He was working himself to exhaustion because my mother's medical treatments weren't covered by insurance. They were drowning in medical debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he was working 2 jobs, sometimes 3, sacrificing every moment of rest, every hobby, every friendship, just to keep the bills paid and keep my mother alive as long as possible. He wrote to her about how much he missed me, how guilty he felt for not being at my games, how he would lie awake after his night shift and listen to recordings she made of me talking about my day, just so he could feel connected to me. He wrote about how much it hurt to see me resent him when all he wanted was to be the dad I deserved. But he couldn't be that dad and also be the husband my mother needed. So he chose her every single time because she was fighting to stay alive for me, and he was fighting to keep her alive for me, and I had no idea at all. I found my father in the garage, sitting in his car, staring at nothing. And I got in the passenger seat and just started talking. I told him I read everything, that I understood now, that I was sorry for being so blind, so selfish, so ungrateful, and he broke down in a way I had never seen before, apologizing to me for not being there, for not explaining, for failing me. And I stopped him and said, "No, you didn't fail me. You both gave me everything. I was just too young and stupid to see it." We sat in that car for 3 hours, talking about my mother, sharing memories, crying together, and he told me things I never knew, like how my mother used to sneak into my room at night to watch me sleep because she was afraid she would miss moments like that, or how she saved every drawing I ever made, every report card, every stupid participation trophy, because she wanted to remember every stage of my life when she was gone. My father told me that my mother knew she was dying, that the headaches had been getting worse, that she probably knew that day was her last, and I realized that when I told her I hated her, she forgave me in that moment. She knew I didn't mean it. She knew I loved her, and she died knowing that. Because that's what mothers do. They forgive their children before they even apologize. They love their children, even when those children don't love themselves. It's been 6 years since my mother died, and not a day goes by that I don't think about her, about that last fight, about all the time I wasted being angry instead of grateful. My father and I are incredibly close. Now I call him every single day. I visit every weekend, and I tell him I love him constantly. Because I learned the hard way that tomorrow isn't guaranteed, that the people who love you most are often the ones you take for granted the most. I'm 23 now, and I work with teenagers who are going through tough times with their parents, and I tell them my story. I show them my mother's journal, and I ask them to imagine how they would feel if their last words to their parents were words of hate instead of love. And I watch their faces change as they realize what I realized too late, that parents aren't perfect, they make mistakes, they're strict, sometimes they're absent sometimes, but most of the time they're doing the absolute best they can with circumstances you might not even know about. My mother's last breath taught me something that changed my entire life. It taught me that love isn't always soft and permissive. Sometimes love is hard. It sets boundaries. It says no. It sacrifices its own comfort for your safety. And just because you can't see the love in the moment doesn't mean it isn't there, buried deep under worry and fear and desperation, to protect you from a world that can be cruel and unforgiving. If your parents are still alive, if you still have the chance to tell them you love them, please don't waste it. Don't wait until it's too late to realize that every rule was protection, every absence was sacrifice, every moment they frustrated you was a moment they loved you too much to let you make a mistake that could hurt you. Call them right now. After this video ends, tell them thank you, tell them you love them. Because I would give anything, absolutely anything, to have one more conversation with my mother. To tell her I didn't mean it. To tell her I understand now. To tell her that she was the best mother I could have ever asked for. But I can't, so I'm asking you to do what I can't. Don't let your last words be words of hate. Make sure they're words of love. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button right now, subscribe to this channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story that might change your perspective. Share this video with your friends and family because someone needs to hear this today. Someone needs to be reminded that their parents are human too. Drop a comment telling your parents you love them. Tag them if you need to. Let them know they matter. And remember, life is fragile. Love is precious. And the time we have with the people who raised us is shorter than we think. So make every moment count. Make every word matter because you never know which breath will be the last.